So just a few concluding remarks, and I will keep this very brief. The things we've looked at today, a lot actually, and it's been interesting to see the interaction between some of these different areas. I mean, it's the first time really that we've addressed the CAV issue explicitly in the Transport Data Initiative. We've certainly talked about connected vehicles, but not in quite that same way as we have today. And I think the other things that have come out of it today, I think the interconnectedness between the way some of the outputs from the data discovery project are already beginning to pull through into action, even before it's been officially approved and actions defined publicly, at least. I personally have found it very encouraging to see that after, you know, if I had maybe characterised the first year of the Transport Data Initiative as beginning to try and sort of, you know, push the thing, it's definitely got some momentum behind it now in terms of a recognition that these things have to move and have to move quicker than they have been. So it's, I think, very encouraging to see that. In terms of the workshop sessions, I must admit, I'm pleasantly surprised at the amount of ground covered. So, you know, hats off to Laura and David, or whoever it was who conceived the idea of the approach today. But I think we've got some good stuff out of this. I don't know, maybe the people who've sort of led those discussions on the tables, if you can maybe kind of, you know, act as a sounding board for Laura as she sort of, you know, prepares the follow-up material. My personal thoughts is it would be good if we could actually maybe turn some of that stuff into a sort of short accompanying paper that we could, you know, pass on to DFT and Innovate to, you know, if that would be, I don't know if that, would that be useful? I'm looking at Darren and Richard. I'm seeing nods. So, you know, maybe you know, if you could, Laura, I don't know how you want to capture who's been involved in those groups, but you've got that, okay, good. So where are we now and where are we going? The bigger picture. Future mobility is one of the 4 grand challenges in the government's industrial strategy. I don't know whether you realise that. There are only 4, and one of them is future mobility. So believe me, it really is on the political radar big time. It means that industry is beginning at least to work with government to define priorities for R&D investment. And not just that, the industrial strategy involves much more than R&D investment. It involves baking some of that sort of, sorry, that's to remind me that I need to, yeah. The industrial strategy is baking the principles underlying it into the actions of things across all of government departments. So it means that government departments are required to begin to think about what the implications of their policies in other areas might be on things like future mobility. Now, that's not fully bedded down yet. It's certainly much stronger present in some departments of government than others, but there's no doubt it's there as the basic policy and the basic approach that is being adopted. We've heard today of some of the immediate specific challenges that are already being articulated, but there will be many more to come in the next few years. So there is certainly going to be opportunity to do things. But I think, as we've seen from many of the discussions today, some of the barriers are not the lack of challenges and funded opportunities to do things. It's things like revenue versus capex. It's things like procurement mechanisms. And these are some of the other issues that, you know, the industrial strategy has the potential to address, but requires evidence and for inputs to decision makers to actually help them develop policy and to change the way things are done. You know, it's easier, someone said, to what was it, to do the Northerners approach or whatever, and just sit around the table and come up with the problems. I'm pleased today that we've begun to identify and focus on solutions and future deliverables. And I'd encourage us as we plan ahead to the next one of these events to be continuing that thinking. And as we're seeing, transport data is already changing today's mobility, thank goodness. It's happening fast. We're a lot further along the road than we were 2 years ago. When I wrote this slide, I said this discovery project will create new momentum. I think we've seen today it already is. And opportunities will exist to catch up for those who are further behind. Probably those who are further behind aren't here today. But I would encourage you, if you've got folk in neighbouring authorities or colleagues, share the news, share the information, share the outputs. These as we covered earlier on, these are some of the things that are the promise. The fact that we've actually got Parliamentary Transport Committee hearings happening on this stuff, I think, is significant. DFT is moving, and the TDI wants to help you guys, actually accelerate this stuff, and that's really our role, to kind of help authorities learn, adapt, and to accelerate things. So help us help you. That's my final slide, really. Call to action. Help us to help you. Please build awareness of the outputs, okay? The stuff that Laura sends round, your own outputs from today. Please share that with colleagues and councillors as well as you have opportunity. Share with peers, share with colleagues in government, Highways England, other organisations of influence. And please contribute and connect with the team. The TDI team is a very small team. Some of them operating on it only very part-time. But please do help us in terms of shaping the future. I'm really pleased at some of the contributions we've had today. If you've contributed, just in one of the discussions and you've got some value to share, then please consider offering to speak at some of the events and share your knowledge. Alert us to new developments. Sometimes things are happening in your area that don't get covered in the big news and so on, but are significant and that other people need to be aware of. Please feed that into Laura so that she can circulate that around in the news information that comes out from TDI. Tell us what you need. We are talking with people like Innovate UK and DFT and others. We may be able to help you. Be proactive like you've been today, okay? Our next event is in London, 21st of September, and you would be very, very welcome to come to that and to bring colleagues, bring neighbours. And that was the slide that didn't get changed. The date was wrong. The date is the 21st of September. Okay? So thank you very much indeed for coming, for sharing and being proactive and contributing today. Thank you very much.